head of production came to me and said, Ben, great job for bringing the show. It's amazing, but we have to tell you one thing. And I said, what's that? Yes, you will be executive producer. However, there's no guarantee that you're going to be a cast member. I'm like, what?
Today's guest is the star of TV show Million Dollar Listing UAE. Ben Bandari has got such a phenomenal story that I really thought it was important to share it with you.
A lot of people were doubting me. A lot of people were like, how is this guy going to pull this off? Even I didn't know how I was going to pull it off. It was just an idea. I was working. I started my career in 2002 as a real estate broker.
Now, first of all, if you've not heard about Million Dollar Listing, it's one of the most successful TV shows that exists in the reality space focused on real estate. Arabian Business placed you as the #1 real estate broker here in the UAE. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I knew I was on the list, but to be #1, I mean, it's just such an honor. I was watching Million Dollar Listing for years, and I'm like, why is the show not here? And I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should do a Million Dollar Listing Dubai.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. Today's guest is the star of TV show Million Dollar Listing UAE. Ben Bandari has got such a phenomenal story that I really thought it was important to share it with you. Now, first of all, if you've not heard about Million Dollar Listing, it's one of the most successful TV shows that exists in the reality space focused on real estate. And Ben, through 4.5 years of turmoil and torture and pain, was able from nothing to get that show off the ground here in the Middle East. We talk about real estate a lot in the UAE, and this show isn't about real estate. This show is about a guy who had a dream and a passion and wasn't going to give up until he made it happen. All right, folks, let me tell you about IOPN, the Internet of People. IOPN is the next iteration of the Internet, using revolutionary blockchain technology that's built on decentralized community ownership. Now, when I say decentralized community ownership, I mean it's not only controlled by a bunch of tech giants. Instead, everyone who's part of it has a say and a stake in how things run. It gives regular people like me and you and businesses and brands an easy and fair chance to grow and make some money and build communities. IOPN is making things happen through a few key verticals. Now let's go through them. OPN Chain is a cutting-edge layer 1 blockchain that's efficient, scalable, and eco-friendly. iCognitive, a set of AI tools changing how we develop apps. Yeah, develop apps. OPNverse, a dynamic, hyper-realistic, AI-powered platform that's making Web3 experiences better. Big organizations like Dubai Multi-Commodities Center, Dubai World Trade Center, and Ras Al Khaimah government are already seeing the potential with IOPN themselves. It's about creating a Web3 future where technology serves us, us, the people, unlike what Web 2 did, where we often end up serving big tech companies. Check out the Internet of People today and see how you can leverage their ecosystem. I promise you, it's worth the time. Ben Bandari, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we've known each other for an awful long time, but we haven't kind of been that close friends, but we kind of had fleeting introductions along the way. And I remember you came to me, and I don't know how long ago it was. Would it be fair to say 6 years or 5 years ago?
I think it was about 4.5 years back.
4.5 years ago. Okay, so 4.5 years ago, I met you, and you said to me, I've got this idea for a TV show. And I think I was in the stages of coming up with my ideas for my TV show at the time that I was making.
Yes.
And so There was genuinely at that point, there was me saying to myself, oh, okay, he's getting into the same world as I am, but in a completely different genre. But he's a real estate broker.
Absolutely.
And how the hell is he going to pull this off? So for the benefit of everyone right now, let's talk a little bit about how a real estate broker becomes the star of a TV show that's shown all over the world.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, thank you for having me on your show. It's a great honor and a privilege as well. I don't know how I got on here actually, but I did something right.
Do you know what? Because you have a story that I believe everybody needs to hear, and I don't believe you tell it enough. And hopefully today, at the end of this episode, people are going to go, I like this guy. I want to be like this guy.
I promise I will share that story with you. Absolutely. And to be honest with you, you weren't the only one. A lot of people were, doubting me. A lot of people were like, how is this guy going to pull this off? Even I didn't know how I was going to pull it off. It was just an idea. I started my career in 2002 as a real estate broker. You could say up until 2009, I was one of the top brokers. I was known very much in the industry. I was young, made a lot of money, very arrogant, and my whole world just crashed and came to an end when 2008, 2009, when the subprime happened. It was the first recession that I ever experienced. And so you could say I lost pretty much half of my wealth. I was extremely lucky that I invested in ready property and I had some passive income. But in 2009, 2010, a lot of my friends had left the country. The cars were left at the airports. I decided to stay because the lifestyle was much better here in Dubai than in Vancouver, Canada, where I'm from. I had a nanny and a maid, which I was paying like 2,000 dirhams. You can't get that in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, let me stay in Dubai and I'll apply for a job, a salaried job, and maybe I'll change my career as well. And so for a year and a half, I was depressed. I didn't know what I was going to do. I only knew how to sell real estate. And so I think it was about 12, 13, the market started picking up. And I realized that a lot of the people that started their companies during the recession, they're competitors today. But look at, like, for example, Firas from FAM, right? Allsup and Allsup, Unique Properties, like, these are big names today, right? They're the leaders in the market. They all started in 2009. So I saw these guys start their companies, set up, and pretty much build empires. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, you know what? I did it wrong. And I jumped back into the market as a broker. I had to swallow my pride because obviously I had to join a company and I had to start from the bottom and just basically build my career and work my way up the ladder. I saw these guys enter into the market, they built their companies, and I pretty much got left behind. So I thought to myself, how can I catapult my career, right? I saw Firas, for example, on Instagram. He really inspired me, and I saw his following increase, and I saw a lot of people basically go on social media, and I'm like, it's too late for social media. And everyone was telling me as well, Ben, don't do TikTok, don't do Instagram. Every single real estate broker is popping up, and it's so annoying. So I actually listened to this advice and I'm like, okay, so what can I do? Maybe, and I was watching Million Dollar Listing for years and I'm like, why is this show not here? We've got some of the best properties in the world. We've got the world's largest towers. We've got these man-made islands. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should do a $1 million listing Dubai or a $1 million listing UAE. So it was just an idea. And I went after it. I contacted the producers in the US, and then I came to know that it was an NBC Universal production. And then I contacted them, and I told them I had an idea, didn't have the finance or the cash, but I might be able to bring someone to the table who I can partner with. And so it was about 4 or 5 years of trying, sleepless nights. Pretty much put my business on hold. I almost went bankrupt.
So tell me what happened as you went on this journey. It's quite interesting for me. So you get this idea. You speak to the TV company in the United States. They're like, yeah, if you want to do it, we'll let you do it. Yeah. So they gave you the permission to do it as long as you could raise the finance and produce it.
So it wasn't that easy, actually. Okay. They wanted a background check. They wanted a KYC. They're like, who are you? And so I put together pretty much, I put my parents' portfolio together, which they have. They're real estate investors and they've got some properties back in Canada. So I used their name, and obviously I'm self-made myself. I came here in 2002, basically get away from my family and to set up my own.
Yeah, do your own thing.
And do my own thing. Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, you know what? NBC Universal is never going to entertain this kid who basically has this idea. So I put together this really enticing package with like this property portfolio. I've got, and including my properties here in Dubai as well, and my achievements as well in the real estate. And I pretty much, look, I sold it to them over the phone.
Pitch?
Yeah, I pitched. I dropped some names as well. I said, I know this person, I know that person, and I can get it done. And they got excited about it as well. And they're like, it sounds good, but they had their reservations. So they're like, you need to acquire the rights and the format, and you have to basically pay a certain amount every 6 months to renew the rights. So initially, I had paid the first, I paid the first fees, and then the 6 months had passed, and I paid another fees, and I was just like, my bank account was just going down. I wasn't really working real estate because I was running around the city trying to pitch the idea. So I was meeting a lot of the big names and the big families, the Gargashes, the Ghurairs. I even basically sent a message out to His Excellency Mohammed Alabar. A lot of them entertained me. They thought it was a great idea. They're like, meet my CEO, meet my marketing department. So I sat out across the table with some of these big names as well. And I pitched the idea, and they loved it as well. They're like, okay, sounds interesting. But then when it came down to execution and finances, I just kept hitting brick wall after brick wall. It was just rejection after rejection. And it was really frustrating because I was betting on this. And I was just getting rejected. No one was taking me seriously.
But did it get you down? Did it get you frustrated, obviously, but you're in sales, so the rejection is part of the game.
Yeah, of course.
Did you start to lose faith in it?
But it was opportunity cost because I was like putting all my time and energy into this project, which I really believed in. And I'm like, this is going to basically give me the exposure. And since 2002, I was always promoting Dubai. I mean, when there was not even one ready freehold property, I was like, I met a client literally from 22 years back. He contacted me from the show, and he came to my office, and he's like, Ben, you're the only person that threw me in your car. You came onto the Palm Island when it was all dirt and there was nothing there, and it was just like trailers and trucks. He's like, 2 people had a vision in this city. One was Sheikh Mohammed, and the second was Ben Bandari. So I was like, I was always promoting Dubai, and I'm like, people need to see this country, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I was going back every year to Vancouver. I was going to Canada since 2002. And people are like, Ben, where were you? I'd go to the gym, and they're like, you haven't been around. We haven't seen you. And I'm like, I live in Dubai. Like, where's that? And then year after year, they're like, oh my God, isn't that where they have those man-made islands? Isn't that where they're building Burj Dubai? It was Burj Dubai back then, right?
Yeah.
And so people were becoming more and more familiar with the city. So I was always promoting Dubai. Even some of my family, they're like, Ben, is any of this stuff ever going to get even built?
Yeah.
Or this is all a scam,
yeah.
Right? And I was like, no, there's no way, right? And so, yes, there were obviously.
But when you're on this journey of trying to get this TV show off the ground, you're speaking to all the developers, you're speaking to brokerages. Who are you speaking to?
Right. So I was trying every single angle.
Anyone who would listen.
Anyone who would listen, and anyone that I thought would be able to finance and basically would believe in my vision and would partner with me as well. Right. So some of the top brokers as well, some of the top firms, some of the names I've already mentioned, right? They're like, yeah, this is amazing. It's great. But when is it ever going to happen? Or is it going to happen? And I remember I was literally like on my last dime, and I had passive income. I had rental income, but the lifestyle in Dubai, things are
not cheap.
It's not cheap, right? And so I'm like, maybe it's time to work and start doing what I do best, which is real estate. So I joined one of the larger real estate companies, and I sat across the CEO, and it was like a 3-year-old company, and they were doing extremely well. And he looked at my CV and he said, wow, you should be running my company. And he said, the deals that you have done and the contacts that you have, right? If you do well, then I would consider making you an equity partner. And I said, that's amazing, right? And then I told him about my idea about $1 million listing and how it's a game changer, right? It's going to disrupt the market, and it's this and it's that. And he's looked at me and he said, this is never going to happen. He's like, get it out of your mind. And I said, what? And he said, focus on real estate, focus on selling, because you're just going to fail. And because of the experience that I had, and obviously 4 years of rejection and failure, it struck a chord, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe he's right. So I mothballed the project and the $1 million listing. I just put it on hold, and I'm like, and NBC Universal was getting really frustrated as well, because they're like, what's going on? Right?
Yeah.
And I didn't have the rights, but I was still in communication. I said, look, this is going to happen. I'm going to get it off the ground. And I was the only one they were talking to. There was no one else, obviously. And so I worked for about a year, and things weren't working well. I mean, a lot of my deals were not happening. You know, clients were just disappearing, not answering my call, and being frustrated, and coming to know that my deals were basically being pulled from underneath my feet. The carpet, the rug was just being pulled from underneath my feet, and getting confirmation from the operations director after I left that, look, your deals were being stolen. And so I'm just like, you know what? Maybe this guy didn't have my best interest. Maybe what he told me was not true. And I said, to hell with everyone that basically didn't believe in me and said you're going to fail and it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to pursue this and I'm going to make this happen. And so
you got this renewed kind of like fire in your belly.
I got this fire in my belly, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to show everyone. Right? I'm just going to show all the hate.
You got me sitting there. I want to know what happened next.
And so I'll never forget. I was in bed one night, and I was so determined. And I'm like, you know what? In Dubai, rejection after rejection, let's look at Abu Dhabi, right? Like, maybe they'll be interested. But I'm like, $1 million listing, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, you know, like it's, you know, everyone wants to see Dubai. I mean, it's the reality, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knew that Abu Dhabi is up and coming. They've got big plans, right?
Uh-huh.
And Abu Dhabi was always kind of in the shadows of Dubai. Now Abu Dhabi is, I believe, is on another level, right? So I'm like, let's look at Abu Dhabi. So I went on Google and I Googled production companies in Abu Dhabi, right? And there's two companies that came up, right? The first one was Image Nation, and the second one was an Emirati lady who had her own production company. And Image Nation looked too big for me, and it looked like it was I saw it was semi-government, and they had done a lot of Hollywood productions like Men in Black, like Snitch with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, like big stuff, Flight with Denzel Washington. So I'm just like, wow, these guys are like the real deal, right? So I didn't even know how to approach them or how to start. And so I chose to call the second one, which was the Emirati lady, and she was in the hospital bed and she was about to give birth, and she's like, but she entertained me because I told her I had this idea, and she's like, oh wow, $1 million listing. And she thought she had a client and she thought that I was going to finance it. The second she came to know that I didn't have any money and that it was just an idea, I could sense the tone in her voice, and everything just changed. She's like, she stopped answering my calls and she stopped entertaining me and answering my messages. So, but during that conversation I had with her, I said, look, what about Image Nation? Maybe they can finance it and maybe they would be interested. And she said, no, they would never be interested in a documentary or a reality television like this. They've never done anything like it. So it discouraged me. But then I'm like, you know, let's just reach out to them. So I looked at the profile, the chairman, His Excellency. He was the chairman of Aldar as well. and the chairman of culture and tourism in Abu Dhabi. I'm like, so he's into property, he's into production, culture and tourism. I'm like, maybe I can kill 3 birds with 1 stone, right? So, and then I did some background and some research on His Excellency, and I was blown away. I'm like, okay, this gentleman is not just a normal individual. But I got the courage to basically contact him. It was a cold call, and I pretty much gave him the elevator pitch. I called him first, and he didn't answer. And I'm like, okay, of course, someone like him is not going to answer his phone. And I'll never forget, I was driving down Safu Road, and I got this number, and I saw it was a VVIP number. And
with the 5s and all the 1s,
yeah,
stuff
exactly,
like that.
right?
Yeah.
It was not a normal number. And so I was like, oh my God. So I took a deep breath and I answered, and I said, hello, is this Your Excellency? And he's like, yes, I had a missed call from this number, right? Total American accent. And you could tell he was educated, Western educated. And I said, Your Excellency, you don't know who I am. I'm a real estate broker, but I've got this great idea. It's a real estate reality television show. It's a 2-time Emmy-nominated show. It's in 140 plus countries, and it's perfect to showcase Aldar developments and also to showcase the culture and tourism in Abu Dhabi. And he's like, okay, I'm interested. Tell me more, right? So I started telling him about the show, and he got really engaged, and he started throwing ideas at me. He's like, we could contact all the landlords, we could get the properties, and he's like, can we show the Louvre in Abu Dhabi? I'm like, of course you can. You can do whatever you want, right? And so he got excited. I got excited that he got excited.
Yeah.
Right? And so he's like, okay, Ben. He's like, tell me exactly what you need. And I said, I need everything, right? I'm like, look, I'm just a kid with an idea. It's a great idea, but I need production. I need finance. I don't know anything when it comes to this business. So he started laughing, and he's like, okay, let me get someone to call you. And so I was like over the moon. I'll never forget that feeling. I've got that feeling right now. I've just got like chills and just running through my body. And so this...
Was that the most, was that the most optimism and positivity you'd had up until that point? Was that like you started to feel...
Yes and no, because it was the first call I made to Abu Dhabi, and I knew that basically he had this huge production company, and he was also into development, right? So everything was there, right? But at the same time, I had my doubts because everyone I had talked to in Dubai was also interested, and they loved the idea. But then when it came to basically execution, it was just everything was rejected. So I'm like, you know what? We've got 1 foot in now, but obviously nothing is going to happen unless basically it's confirmed and we sign off on it, right? So I had my doubts.
Okay, so what happened?
So then she's like, when can you come? So I get this phone call from this lady in Australian accent, and we hit it off, and she asked me for some information when it came to product, and I didn't know what I was talking about. And I'm like, can I come back to you on that? And I took notes, and then I Googled it, and then I sent her an email. I'm like, can you send me an email? Everything that you're asking for, right? So I could do my research, and she wanted a deck, which I had, but it wasn't very professional, right? And so I sent her an email, and she's like, this is not exactly what I'm looking for, but when can you come to Abu Dhabi? I'm like, I can come right away. Let me know when's best for you. So she's like, come in a couple of days. We arranged. So I went down there, and it was in 2454, which was it's like the media city of Abu Dhabi.
I know, yeah.
And there was like literally 5 people. It was like a board, and I wasn't expecting. I thought I was meeting this lady, but I met all these 5 lovely people, and they were all expats, one from Australia, from the US, and every single person knew the show, had watched the show, and they loved it. And they asked me over and over, why has this not been done? Why has Dubai not picked this up? And I didn't have an answer for them. I said, I don't know, you tell me. And so they're like, well, their loss is our gain. And they're like, this is an amazing idea. We were very interested, and we'll come back to you. So I went back to Dubai and I was super excited. I got another phone call from the lady, and she's like, I want to set up the second meeting with a gentleman. His name is Ben Ross. At that time, he was the chief content officer of Image Nation. And there was another gentleman as well. His name was Steve Norris. He worked for 2454. And I met Ben, and it was just the two of them. And they asked the same questions again. How come this hasn't been done? And they said, Ben, we love the idea and we want to move forward and we're going to continue. We've actually reached out to NBC Universal, right? We know that you don't have the formatting rights, because I went in there as if I pretty much owned Million Dollar Listing, right? They're like, obviously we work with NBC Universal over the last decades, and we're going to move forward. And so I was like, at that point, I'm thinking, you know what? They're going to tell me, thank you so much, but we'll take it over from here and we don't need you anymore. Thanks for the idea. It's always in the back of your mind, right? Like someone's going to bypass you. Yeah. And I didn't have the rights. Yeah. Because I didn't continue, because I didn't have the money. Yeah. Right? So he turns to me and I'm sweating and I'm like, okay, that's great. And he's like, we're going to do this. And if you're not a part of it, we're not going to do it. So I was like all of that, just nervousness and just like
fear and anxiety,
just like it was just like all flushed out. And I was like over the moon, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And they're like, we appreciate you introducing this and all the hard work and effort that you've put into this, and the rejection over the years. But you're our partner on this. And so I was like, wow. It was like a dream, right? And then he's like, from here on, moving forward, it's like, it's lawyers, it's like Harvard against Stanford lawyers. So you won't understand it, and it's complicated. It's not very exciting. So just sit back. We'll CC you on all the emails, and we'll walk you through it. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. And so I was like, thank you so much. And then I went back to Dubai and I was just like over the moon. I was just like, wow. I'm like, this is actually going to happen.
Who's the first person you told?
Well, Jennifer, who's also an executive producer on the show, she was with me in that meeting. So we were both over the moon. It was just something, she actually introduced the show to me about a decade ago.
How mad is that?
It was crazy.
How long once they said, right, we're going to go through this stuff with the lawyers, well, how long was it then before production started?
So we actually, that was, I'll never forget, it was 2019, December.
And so when did production
start? And then 2020, we hit COVID.
Oh, of course.
And there was a chance that it would never happen. And the CEO calls me up and he's like, we're going to have to rethink this. Right? So it was like a roller coaster. And we were just engaged with the legal team, and we had acquired the rights, and we're like, is this ever going to happen? But then to our surprise, and I think the world's surprise, that's when like content was king, right? All of a sudden, like Netflix, Stars Play, Roku, like all of the shares went up because everyone was at home watching TV, right? And the streaming services, right? So it was a good thing, actually. It helped us. But there was that time where we thought, or I thought that, oh my God, here it is again. Here we go again. We got it off the ground, but it's just gonna, like, it's, crash and burn.
What were moments that you can remember that were kind of like highlights for you? Was it like the first day of filming, or was it the first planning meeting, or was it asking other people that you know to be involved? What were the highlights for you?
So I actually, the highlights were working with the team at Image Nation. So I became really good friends with them. Great people. I mean, very dear people to me. I obviously, because real estate's my background. So there was the casting call as well. So we brought in Joelle from Lebanon. She had done like, I think The Voice and some of these really big reality shows as well within the region. So she came here, and it was different because real estate is different than singing. And they pretty much really depended on my know-how when casting and what to look for when basically looking for the right people to be on a real estate reality show, right?
So who's in the show?
So, okay, we have Riyad Gohar, which coincidentally, we've been friends for 15 years. I didn't think he was going to make the show, to be honest with you, but he did. And then we have Rami Wahood. He's a big personality. He's Syrian American from Chicago. So that's quite a funny story as well, because the first video that he ever did, I think Firaz posted on his Instagram, and I saw it and I really liked it. So I reached out to him and I said, "What do you think about being on a real estate reality show?" And then he's like, "Yeah, let's meet up." And then he was not even interested. And I told him about the show, and he started watching. And then he started basically contacting me, and he's like, "Let's meet up for lunch." And he's like, "This is amazing. I love it. I can't wait." And he was actually cut from the show. And then he was brought back.
Okay.
And he obviously made the cut. But then we have also Zay Brown. She's from the UK, but I think she's got Indian background, heritage. And we have Nasira Sakai, who's Moroccan as well. So we've got a nice diverse cast for season 1.
And so the casting call, that must have been fun though. Were they just conversations, or did people have to do anything?
So yeah, just imagine how much I went through, Spencer. So when I actually sat with Image Nation, one of the producers, or the head of production, came to me and said, "Ben, great job for bringing the show. It's amazing, but we have to tell you one thing." And I said, "What's that?" "Yes, you will be executive producer. And however, there's no guarantee that you're going to be a cast member." And so I'm like, "What?" I said, "Well, the main reason for obviously going after this show is to be on the show." And he said, "Well, there's no guarantees." He said, "It's actually up to the broadcaster. So you're going to have to audition like everyone else. And if you make the cut, you make it. But if they don't like you, then what can we do?" And so I was.
So what's an audition like? How does an audition go? Tell me.
So there's actually quite a few steps and processes. So, and I was completely. They're like, executive. You're gonna have to take your executive producer hat off and now put your cast member hat on. So they were like not telling me a lot of things, and they're like, "Okay, now the first interview is gonna be over a Zoom because we just had COVID as well, right? So people were reluctant and skeptical to meet. And so it was an interview. Tell us about yourself, right? How long have you been in the real estate industry? What have you sold? What was your biggest sale? Why should you be on Million Dollar Listing? Why are you perfect fit for this show? And so we had, I think, over at that time, now there's 20,000 plus brokers in the market, but that time there were a lot less. I think even less than half of that. There was like 7,000, 8,000 plus. And we had 3,000 plus people audition, right?
3,000?
3,000, yes.
No way.
Yeah. And a lot of people we also rejected because...
of course, we had 3,000.
And no, it was actually more than 3,000. 3,000 interviewed people. I think we had about 5,000. Half of the market actually applied. But a lot of the people we didn't entertain because they were off-plan specialists. Like they worked for companies where you would just sell off paper, right? Under construction developments, right? So to be on Million Dollar Listing, you need to have...
List expensive properties, yeah.
Not only list expensive properties, but you need to know how to sell secondary properties, like ready properties, like walk people through the property and sell a tangible product, right? Off-plan properties are very easy. You take your client, you take them to the developer's office, and they sell off paper, right? So you have to have the skill and the art of selling a property. negotiation skills, right? Dealing with sellers, going to listing appointments, right? Dealing with buyers, negotiating between the buyers and the sellers. So you need to have some sort of a sales skill.
So more than 3,000 people comes down to a group of 5 of you, yeah?
Yeah, so we went from 3,000 to, I think it was about 100, and then we went from 100 to about 32, and then 32, there was 15, and then there was a top 8, and then we went from 8 to 5.
Is there anybody that didn't make the cut that you wish did?
You're trying to get me in trouble, right?
No. Who do you wish did?
So at that time, I'm going to put myself out there. So the executive producer, Jennifer, she's an Arabic speaker. She's also, I'm in a relationship with her right now. But at that time, I was going through a separation and a divorce. So they thought that she would be a good fit for the show. But I didn't want to showcase her because I didn't want people to know that obviously we were in a relationship.
Sure.
Because I didn't want the controversy.
But that's somebody you didn't want. Who do you think?
But she should have been on the show.
She should have been on it though.
Yeah. So I kind of, I'm reversing it.
And does she forgive you for that?
She's honestly, she didn't really want to, how can I? She said, look, whatever is best for your career, she's very supportive, and that's what I love about her. So she's like,
I don't believe you.
It's like, no.
She said that on the surface.
No, I swear to you, she's like, look, it's not important whether I'm on the show or not. What's important is that you're on the show. And she supported me. But look, there's always season 2.
Yeah.
Right?
There could always be more. So you film a season, how many episodes?
So season 1 was 9 episodes.
9 episodes?
Yeah.
How long did it take to film those 9 episodes?
So it was about, so in Dubai and UAE, we did that in about 4.5, 5 months.
Okay.
In the US, so it was like really congested, right? Because things are done differently. In the US, they do it pretty much all year. And they film twice a week. Mm-hmm. In the US, or once or twice a week. The Altman brothers were telling me. Here, we do pretty much, it's 24 hours. It's 5 days a week. So we're pretty much, you wake up, the cameras are there. You go to bed, the cameras are there.
So you're doing this film, and you produce this show, it then goes out.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Ben Bandari is now in the public eye.
Yeah.
You're now famous.
You could say that.
Sounds weird when I say that out loud.
Yeah, it does.
But the truth is,
it's a bit cringy, but yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, you and I are both salespeople. So the truth is, what do we need to be successful in sales? Attention.
Absolutely.
You know,
Ryan Serhant says it best. You need to be on the mountaintop, basically yelling and letting everyone know you're there.
Absolutely. Grant Cardone says exactly the same thing. It's all about attention. I'm trying to get it to Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm trading attention.
Right.
So you're now getting eyeballs on you.
Yes.
What did that do for you, positively and negatively?
So I can't think of anything negatively, to be honest, because it's been great.
So what did it do positively for you? Let's talk about how it impacted your personal life, if anything, or how it impacted business. What changed from that point of view?
So for business, it's been amazing. So I'm recognized now everywhere, pretty much in the real estate world, right? When I go to developers' offices, or I basically, like yesterday, I had a podcast with AJ, with a mutual friend of ours, right? And I came down the elevator, and then I walked to my car, and then I saw these 2 ladies, like, whispering and giggling and, smiling. And then sat in my car, and then they literally followed me to my car, and I rolled down my window, and they're like, hello, hi, Ben, how are you? We've seen you on TV. And I'm like, oh, wow, great. Did you enjoy this show? And they're like, yeah, it's amazing. And then I saw, oh, you work for Axe Capital, because I recognized the badge.
Oh, Axe.
Right? And then They're like, yes. And I'm like, how's that going for you? And they're like, it's good. We're only here for a month. And I'm like, great, good luck, right? And so it was nice to be recognized and just for someone to come and say hello. And then I went home, and then later that night, the same lady messaged me on Instagram and said, very nice to meet you. I'd love to basically have, meet again and talk a little more. I didn't want to disturb you as you were leaving, right? So I said, thank you so much. Feel free to come to my office.
So it's made you a hit with the ladies.
Well, you are trying to get me in trouble, right?
Ex-cap.
Right?
Ex-caps employs attractive ladies. I used to train ex-caps.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
Anyway, so
it's been.
You get attention.
I'm getting a lot of attention.
You from people that are looking to buy real estate. Do you think that you get more opportunity because of the TV show?
So not so much from the buyer side. So what I can tell you is my team are using my name and leveraging my name more than I am.
Yeah.
I've got this one superstar who actually, her name is Sarah. She joined me and she left X Capital. She's been with me for 3 months and she sold over 200 million.
Wow.
Right. But she's been able to leverage my name and the $1 Million Dollar Listing brand. And then...
well, let's add on to that for a minute here, because not only that, but Arabian Business has placed you as the #1 real estate broker here in the UAE. Is that correct?
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was
for goodness
amazing. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I knew I was on the list, but to be #1, I mean, it's just such an honor, especially from Arabian Business.
What does that mean for you as a professional, though? What does it mean? Do you, obviously you can trade on the back of that. I'm vote. Is it voting, or is it that they identify who the top person?
So I think there's certain criterias, right?
Okay.
It's the impact that you've had in the real estate industry, years of experience, number of deals, value of deals. There's a lot of things, a lot of criteria.
Successful guys on that list.
There's a lot of big names.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of big names.
I said, did you get lots of positive encouragement from that? Or did you get a few bitter, jealous people that weren't happy?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's been group chats where like a lot of salty people in the industry.
Well, anyone that doesn't win wants to find a reason why you won, and they don't always,
yeah, exactly,
graciously.
And then they make their own titles as well.
Yeah, that happens too. Yeah.
And then they start posting it, and then they get their entire company to make videos for them, saying how great they are. But I mean, it's expected in this industry, right?
So from a guy from Canada that comes over here to start a business in work in the industry in 2002,
yes,
to learning it and doing well, and in 2009 when the whole market collapses, sitting thinking, holy macaroni, what am I going to do with my life? You then have gone from that pain and that hurt to struggling to make it happen. In 2013 and whatnot, the market starts to pick up a bit, but then a few years after that, this idea gets into your head and it's like, hold on a minute here. Okay, I'd like to do this. And you sacrificed a lot of time doing your job, time making money, because real estate brokers, they eat what they kill.
Yes.
To try and get this idea off the ground. And at every opportunity, that door was closed, and then it was closed, and it was closed, and it was closed. But you kept going.
Yes.
And that one chance situation that happened, okay, with Abu Dhabi, and for people that don't live here in the region, don't know Abu Dhabi, we've got 7 Emirates, as you and I both know. Those 7 Emirates, Abu Dhabi is by far the largest of those Emirates, and it's where they say the majority of the wealth is.
Absolutely.
And obviously,
and it's the capital of the UAE.
And it's the capital of the country. And so you've gone down there not being from Abu Dhabi, not working in Abu Dhabi, not selling in Abu Dhabi, and you've taken a chance. And on the back of that, after 4.5 years of struggle, you got this little win that became a bigger and bigger and bigger win.
Yes.
And now, arguably, Ben, as I've known you all these years, you're recognized as the #1 broker in this city or in this country. You're recognized as the star of $1 Million Dollar Listing. And you're a humble guy.
Yes, I try to stay humble. I mean, not that young. I may look young. I'm 48.
48?
1976.
I'm 54. I'm older than you.
54, yeah. We're still young at heart, right?
Yeah, definitely. I still think I'm 30 in my head. Yeah,
exactly.
I ache a bit more though.
But what I can tell you is, we have to learn from our mistakes. back when the market was booming, when I was 24, 25 years old, I was making a lot of money. So, it was unreal. From 2002 to 2008, I was invoicing like 350,000, 500,000. I was young, I was dumb, and I was arrogant, right? I was very cocky. And I was known as the king in my company at that time. I was working for the largest real estate company back
Who was
then.
that?
Better Homes.
So you're at Better Homes?
From 2000, 2000.
What's the Irish guy? What's his
Ryan Mahoney.
Ryan, that's
He's Canadian.
Is
Irish descent, yeah.
Irish descent, but Canadian. Okay.
Yeah, so I started my brokerage in 2003 up until 2006. And I made a lot of money.
Lots of people did.
And I was 25, 26, 27. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So I was cocky and arrogant. And that's all I knew to be. I didn't. It was nouveau riche.
Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Exactly what it is. Yeah.
So, and then I saw,
You think you're a baller?
Yeah, I thought I was a baller. Yeah,
You think you're a baller?
Exactly. I was buying property. I was buying cars. And, people respected me in my face. But then behind my back, they were like, oh, this guy's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I remember. I came here in January 2005.
Yeah.
And so
it was crazy.
I'm 19 years here. I came here and there's this madness going on, and nobody could rent. People had to pay their rent annually, and so nobody could afford it, and so everyone was busy sharing properties, and real estate brokers were selling with 10% down and 90% to be paid upon completion.
Yes. And the banks were financing,
flipping.
Yes.
And so all of that kind of stuff going on. I remember doing the deal with Barclays Bank when we provided all of the life insurance for their mortgages. So when Barclays first launched mortgage services here, they only launched them for 12 years. And I'm like, why are we doing 12-year mortgages? They're like, we're not sure the buildings will last longer than 12 years.
Yeah.
That's what they said to me at the beginning of the journey. Yeah. And so all of this kind of stuff from all these years ago that we've been here has evolved, and this city has now become everything everybody doubted. It became the opposite. Because everybody, the naysayers completely said, it's going to fall apart, it's going to go wrong, especially with 2008.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a place, people aren't going to want to live here. And here we are now in 2024.
And we're bigger and
but what
better.
Are we? Center of the earth?
Yes.
Arguably, where are all the rich people in London wanting to move to? Dubai. Where's anybody with a family that wants to live in a safe environment considering going to?
Dubai.
And so from a business point of view, from a wealth protection point of view, from a family security point of view, from a tax perspective, if geographically, it's ticking all of those boxes.
Yes. It's the center of the world.
And now it's not 5 minutes in. Now it's 2.5 decades in.
Yes. And having said that, so I work very closely with the Altman brothers from Los Angeles. They're on Million Dollar Listing Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So they're sending a lot of clients from the US.
Yeah, they.
Celebrities, a lot of big names, a lot of people, they want to relocate here because it's a mess in the US.
You've only got to go and visit San Francisco and Los Angeles at the moment, and it's not pleasant at all.
There's like homeless people sleeping in people's front yards.
Everywhere. I was there recently.
Right.
It's horrific. Okay. Give me some advice. If people wanted to get into the real estate business right now, and they wanted to learn to be a real estate broker and come over here and make their fortune or become successful, what tips would you give those young, arrogant, nothing to lose type characters? What tips would you give them to go out and create some success here?
I would tell them that it's not easy, right? So you watch shows like Million Dollar Listing and you watch other real estate reality television shows. It's made to look easy, right? You just see basically, the deals happen. But there's a lot of hard work that comes into it. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Rejection. You need to work hard, right? I would say find a good mentor, right? If you're starting out in the business, find someone that you can learn from. So I was very young. I didn't learn from anyone. So I had to learn the hard way, right? But now the city's grown. There's a lot of good real estate brokers in the city. If you're going to work for a company, find someone that you can sit aside or sit alongside, and basically you can learn the tricks of the trade. You can learn to become a good broker.
So Understand it's not easy. Number one, number two, get a mentor. Give me another tip. Give me some other advice that these people could really use.
Just don't give up. Don't give up.
And does that apply to selling real estate, or does that also apply to having a TV show?
I think in life in general, right? With whatever you do, I think it's all mindset, right? If you're determined, if you have the drive and you're hungry and persistence, then you can make anything happen, right? I mean, you're a live example yourself. I could ask you some questions as well, but
this interview's for you today,
right?
Not for me. And tell me about what's coming up on the shows moving forward. So you got series 2 being filmed soon, or?
So what I can tell you is it's in the works.
Okay.
Yeah, season 2 is in the works, and yeah, it's going to be bigger and better.
There'll be people listening to this right now going, how do I get on the show? I want to get on the show. What have I got to bring to the table?
Right. So to be honest with you, I don't know, because I'm just a cast member, right? What I do know is that there were some auditions when we had the premiere last year. So I don't know if they're looking for new cast members or if they'll stick with the same 5 that were on season 1
before.
Right. I if you ask me, my hunch is that they may shift it a bit. They may change it up.
And lastly, Cecilia. She's on the show as well. So Cecilia's a friend.
Cecilia, yeah.
There she comes.
Oh my God.
I know Cecilia. She's a pussycat. She's
a pussycat?
She's a really dear.
Like a lion.
She's a lion.
Yeah.
Oh, well, she's a really
no. She's a sweetheart.
But she's the toughie on the show. Yeah.
Look, she's tough in real life.
Is she?
Yeah.
In business, is she tough? Because she was a broker once herself.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
She owned a company.
Yeah. What was it called?
Fine and Country.
Fine and Country.
So I don't know if you know this, but Riyadh, who was a cast member, actually worked with and for Cecilia
at Fine and Country.
At Fine and Country for I think 10 plus years.
Really?
So a lot of people, they don't know that they have this relationship. They know each other for years.
Interesting.
And so that when you watch the show, she's really tough on him. She grills him. And I love it. I just sit there and I laugh. Right? She's much nicer with me.
Oh, good. Okay.
Right?
At least
so you could just compare her scenes with him and her scenes with me.
And we see the truth.
Right, exactly. So Cecilia, I love. She's amazing. And she was amazing on the show.
Yeah. She's good. I like her.
Yeah.
It's great.
She's a natural.
Yeah, for sure. And she loves it, Secret.
Yeah, she loves it.
Ben, thank you so much for coming to join us on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I mean, it's an honor to be alongside all the big names that you have on your show.
Yeah, man, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.